Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the first ever episode of the Movement Fantasy Football Podcast, aka the MFFP. I am one of your hosts, Brady, the manager of the Imperial Hunters, currently sitting at a beautiful 3-0, and we also have
John with an H, current manager of Cool Runnings, Peace Be the Journey, preseason favorite to win the title in season 4.
Yes, sir. So before we get started, let's take a trip to the past on our very first season. The league started 9 years ago. PC came out on top 4 years in a row with his best impression of Bill Russell in the 70s, with a record of 8-5 all 4 years, beating Cody, Bryce, or Dante, I don't remember, and then Brandon twice. The following season, Brandon went on to become the second ever winner of the Fantasy League with a victory over me/Richie. I took over Richie's team halfway through the year. The following season, I was able to make it back to the championship and get my first victory in the league before we switched to Dynasty. Fun fact, every time I made the playoffs, I made it to the championship, whether that was a W or an L. But now, I'm going to pass it to John with the history of the Dynasty thus far.
So we moved on to the draft as a startup dynasty because we all decided we want to keep the same people around and get to do that side of the fantasy football world. After drafting, without question, the best team in the league, Cliff, preemptively blew up before any of us really knew what blowing up meant. And trade away would have been a championship roster in year one. But in year one, PC manager, styling and profiling, thought Dynasty would be just as easy as beating up on those teenagers, and he'd assume his Bill Russell run. Unfortunately, he got upended in the semis, where Nick, manager of Empire Strikes Back, took home the inaugural Dynasty championship. In year two, led to a whole bunch of roster movement in the offseason and so-called tanking, never to be confirmed. But John with no H, manager of They Then, rode the brilliant strategy of owning everybody's handcuffed that year and backup players, and supposedly having an opposing player quit mid-game in the championship. Rode the strategy all the way to the title that year in year two. Year three, we get to Raph, manager of Batman, continued the streak of the best team not winning the title. But God did believe, and he took home the belt in year three after a certain heart-stopping Monday night game, boy. We'll get to our biggest change going into year four next episode, where inclusion leads to our wanted or unwanted expansion of MFFL.
Oh my gosh.
So we're going to move on to our first debate topics of the MFFP. We're going to do our buy-sell, where our first topic is going to be "We're Back" is actually back. So Brady, you're gonna buy or sell on that?
Man, we're back. I think I'm gonna buy what Brandon's doing. As we're recording this, he actually just made another move for David Montgomery, filling another running back spot that he's missing with his team. But I think I'm gonna buy. He got the quarterback 2, the RB1 right now, the wide receiver 2, and a wide receiver 9. I think he has a chance to still pull it out.
Yeah, I think it's always been a question of Brandon's depth, not his top end. I'm sure he got rid of one of those 7 second-round picks he acquired at some point this offseason to get one of these running backs again. But I'm definitely selling that he's actually back. He made a good trade for a win-now piece in Mike Williams. It lasted all of 3 quarters in the game, and then there he goes again. So he's back to the drawing board. He's going after David Montgomery, who could or could not be great. He's hit on Raheem Mostert this year. That's awesome, but he's also due for his 6-week injury outing at some point this year. So I'm gonna sell on him. I just don't think he can overcome all the injuries, being as thin as he is, to get back to where he wants to be.
Man, John. Next up, we got styling and profiling. Should styling and profiling be in panic mode, sitting at 0-3 at the bottom of his division?
Man, we're talking about the most impatient manager of MFFL. Every time something goes wrong, he's ready to jump ship and try to figure out a different way to do it. But I'm gonna preach a little bit of patience here. Like, I know he's 0-3. I know he's struggling, but he did just make a really good move and acquire Josh Allen, which should help his quarterbacking situation and really his overall team morale. He's got the new team name going for him this week. I really do think if he just sits tight, he'll find a way to get into the playoffs. We do own the weakest division in the MFFL so far. He should have 2 easy dubs on the back end of this when it comes back to division rivals, which should ultimately help him get into the playoffs.
I think I'm going to agree with you, man. I think I'm going to buy as well. I think his biggest problem at the moment was quarterback. And with him going out to get Josh Allen, I think that's going to benefit him in the long run. I think he saw that he needed a quarterback, and I think him going to get Josh Allen is going to keep his playoffs hope alive. But yeah, I'm a buy it, even though Cool Runnings sitting at the top of the division, should win it all in that division. But I think he's going to come out of that division as well, solid and profiling.
Yeah, man, I'm interested to see how that kind of plays out. So our next one's going to be talking about Imperial Hunters, talking about my man Brady and this squad. I told him coming into the year I really liked. He had 6 of my targets of breakout players, and he's showing why. But we're going to say Imperial Hunters are championship contenders. B, you gonna buy it or you going to sell it?
I'm going to buy it, man. I've done put this team together. I think I actually got a chance at the championship. I'm not going to lie. I expected this to happen a year from now when I get another piece that's coming up in the draft that I really want. But hey, who knew? Like, I was surprised 2-0 as well. Went out and got Travis Kelce. I think that's going to help me in the long run, and I think I got a shot for the championship. Like I said earlier, every time I've made the playoffs, I've made it to the championship, whether a W or L.
Yeah, man, I think I'm buying as well. I think it's going to be hard to kind of not take you up there. I think you have enough depth to get through it, and you still have a couple pieces you can make a move if you needed to at the deadline to kind of overcome something. Your biggest thing is going to be like Brandon a little bit, where you got to stay healthy. James Conner and Brian Robinson are going to have to carry you a little bit, but I mean, you have the best wide receivers in the league, and wide receivers in PPR fantasy are just how you win leagues. So Brock Purdy's doing you a solid. Hopefully Justin Fields gets it going at some point this season. I don't think he can be any worse than he's already been, so you can only go up, and I mean, you're 2 points out of the lead in the MFFL. So, I mean, regardless of what anybody's put up against you, you're scoring points. So if you're scoring points, you're going to win games.
All right. And my last buy/sell topic was, will Cool Runnings make an undefeated run, sitting at 3-0 with all the depth, the fan favorite coming into this league? Will he be undefeated going all the way through? You buying or selling?
I'm going to sell myself. It's really tough to say that. I've been a part of it a little bit in a different league where I really did. I went 13-0. I had similar value where I was deep enough I can make the run, and then I had the most heartbreaking loss in fantasy history. I lost 2 games in the playoffs by less than a point. I just think it's almost impossible to go undefeated. If you do, it's a sheer dumb luck, and I'd almost rather my luck not run out in the regular, in the playoffs, and just lose 1 or 2 in the regular season and try to see what happens. Need a title, man. I'm not worried about the regular season title because in our history so far in Dynasty, we're 0-3.
Yeah, man, you're right. I have not seen a team go undefeated yet. I went close in one of my other leagues. I lost like 1 game, and we saw Cliff last year. I lost 2 games. I saw PC the first year of Dynasty, lost 2 games. It's so hard, man, to go undefeated in the regular season. But like you said, when your players are doing so well in the regular season, that most likely mean they're going to be banged up when it comes down to championships. So, yeah, I'm going to have to sell as well. I'm sorry, John.
I hear you, man. I hear you. So, we're going to move on now to our weekly segment of weekly picks. So, we're going to have a lock, guaranteed pick, and a little bit of an upset pick going into the year. So, Brady, what's your lock for week 4?
My lock of the week is keep calm and carry on. With Day/them moving off of Josh Allen, I believe this will set him back in a race to get Marvin Harrison Jr. He's going to have a chance to finally get MHJ again, even though it's going to be hard to beat out B. Snell. But the only way Day/them is upsetting keep calm and carry on is if keep calm, carry on, and it rests everybody for the whole week. That's the only way he has a chance of upsetting them. So that's my lock of the week. Keep calm, and carry on. What about you, John?
Yeah, it's a little bit frustrating to have to do this one, but I really think the lock of the week is myself in Cool Runnings versus the Maulers. He's 0-3, struggling a little bit. Got rid of Travis Kelce going into this week. So I also get AK back this week. Unfortunately, Jameis Winston's under center, so I'm not really sure if that's going to work out for targets. But I think the lock of the week is me favored by 33 going against Cliff, a.k.a. Maulers, in week 4.
All right. So, John, I'm going to ask you this one next. What is your very first ever upset of the week?
Yeah, so going on to, telling our, impatient manager over there, styling and profiling, that's my upset of the week. I'm taking styling and profiling now with the move to get Josh Allen. I know that hurt your heart a little bit there, Brady, because he's going against you this week. You are projected to score the most points this week and you're projected to win by 20 points. I just think somehow, some way, Styling and Profiling is going to figure it out. He's going to have a big day from Josh Allen going up against a pretty bad defense in Miami. I think it's going to be a total shootout, so more points means more fantasy points. And I just think he almost pulled off the upset of me last week. So at some point he's going to knock on the door and get a W, and I think that's the upset of the week.
Man, that's so crazy that you say that, because my upset of the week is actually Styling and Profiling over me as well. I think Styling and Profiling adding Josh Allen puts him over the hump and gives me my first L of the season. The guy lost week 1 in 3 by a total of 8 points. And he's been getting tough matchups. Week 2, we're not going to talk about that. He's wrong for that one. But I'm prepared, man, to take my first L of the week. I honestly think that that's going to be the very first upset of the week as my first prediction. So next up, man, we're going into our next segment of the show where we get off of the MFFL and we go to overall fantasy. Our week 3 surprises. John, what was your week 3 surprise?
So my week 3 surprise was actually Zach Moss for the Indianapolis Colts. He had 122 rushing yards, scored a bunch of points, man, just really got after it. Caught 2 passes, got in the end zone, just did a great job. I ended up moving him last week to Cody in this league because I just thought I'd capitalize. I only got a second-round pick for him, but it might end up looking bad. If Indy wants to play the hard game of making JT play it out and wait it out, if Zach Moss has proven he can do it, then they can move JT and not feel bad about it. We'll see if that changes with Anthony Richardson coming back, but I was really impressed to see Zach Moss get the full workload and them actually give him the football to a win against a tough Baltimore team and still produce. So I think the future is bright for him as long as JT's not back on the Colts.
Yeah, man, I think we'll see about that with Anthony Richardson coming back, a guy that is known for using his legs to help him win games. So we'll see if Zach Moss is able to still keep that production up with Anthony Richardson coming back. And I think everyone knows my surprise of the week is anyone on the Dolphins offense. 70 points in 1 week is crazy, man. Man, I had Cliff texting me when I was breaking down church Sunday. Dude, A-Chain scored another touchdown. I was like, I'm not going to lie. Honestly, the dude had me scared. 57 points, almost 60 points as a rookie. I honestly think that he might have a shot at taking over that backfield once, as you said earlier, if anything was to happen to Mostert. So that's my surprise of the week.
Injuries happen, man. You got to like his explosiveness. Miami's built just on speed, man. It's really crazy to watch them dudes build a team and execute it. And speed leads to fantasy points, right? Like more yards, more everything, it works out. Yeah. So we're going to move on to the next section from surprise. We're going to pick our over projected for the week. So taking anybody's projection for the week and who we think is going to go over that number. So Brady, who you got?
My over of the week is give me DeAndre Swift over 14.11 points. I honestly will take him and it over anybody else, like behind that offense, as long as he's the running back one behind that offense and he's not losing his spot as the RB1 there. I'm honestly going to pick him every week as the over, as long as he's not projected over 20 points with Jalen Hurts back there still in the 1 yard line. QB push into the end zone. But I honestly like DeAndre Swift as my over of the week. Yes, I understand it's against Washington, but man, that Philly offensive line is something serious.
It's hard not to love him, man. Swift's another guy that if he can just stay healthy is amazing. And he showed that in Detroit when he was healthy, just unfortunately couldn't stay healthy very much. So my over for the week is actually going to be DJ Moore. He's going up against that vaunted Denver defense that just gave up 70. And, it can't get any worse for Chicago, right? I don't know what the deal is. If it's Justin Fields, I don't know if it's coaching. I don't know if it's Justin Fields blaming coaching and then saying he doesn't blame coaching. I'm not, whatever they want to go about over there. But I like DJ Moore. His projection's only 10.9. He's got to get in the end zone at some point. He probably goes for 7 and 70 and a touchdown right here. So we'll take the way over 10. I don't even love it. I just think Denver's in such a bad spot, and somebody's got to catch the football from Justin Fields, and it's going to be DJ Moore. That guy's too talented to not keep putting up points. So then we're going to move on from the over to the under. So who do you think is going to underperform what they look like going into week 4?
My under of the week is actually one of my guys as to why I think I'm going to lose this week. Both my running backs have very tough matchups. Brian Robinson, he's playing that Philly defense, and James Conner is playing the 49ers. But give me my guy, Brian Robinson, He's projected 12 points, and that Philly defense is something serious, man. That D-line with Jordan Davis, Jalen Carter, all those guys, man. Fletcher Cox, I just think it's going to be really tough for him to run the ball. Hey, I hope he pulls it out. It's not going to be 4-0. But I think it's going to be tough that week, man. What about you?
Yeah, so my under for the week is actually a perennial loser when it comes to playing their matchup. The Bucks come to town to play the Saints this week, which means Mike Evans gets Marshawn Lattimore, who's given up, maybe 2 catches his whole career against Mike Evans. He seems to put up them goose eggs when he plays the Saints. So I'm just going to continue with that trend. He's projected almost 14 points at 13.8. I like Marshawn Lattimore, man. Lock him down. Make Baker Mayfield throw to somebody else, not name Mike Evans, because that's all he's done so far. It's been kind of crazy to watch him be even as successful as he's been. Mike Evans is turning back the clock, but I always take my guy Lattimore in that vaunted defense for New Orleans. I mean, how often have we been able to say that, right? Like vaunted defense for New Orleans, crazy. But yeah, I like him to hold him underneath there and go Lattimore.
Yeah, you can expect Chris Godwin as well with my boy Alontae Taylor locking him down on the other side.
Dude, Alontae was amazing last week. It was crazy, and it's a pleasant surprise to not have a hole on the other side of the cornerback. So now we're going to move into our last segment of the pod for this week. We're going to go into like a little rapid fire session of just 3 people at each position. We're going to talk about quarterbacks, running backs, wide receivers, and tight ends. We're going to talk about the must starts, so our 3 top projections, and even a little bit of why in between each one. So we're going to start with quarterbacks. So Brady, give me the first 3.
Give me Kirk Cousins at the Panthers, Tua Tagovailoa, the Buffalo Bills, Patrick Mahomes at the New York Jets. John?
Yeah, so my 3 is going to be Josh Allen at Minnesota. Same thing, going to be just an absolute fire show. Tua at Buffalo, same thing again, man. I'm just a believer in matchups. When you have matchups that are going to produce points, you want everybody that's involved. And then the last one's my little bit of a dark horse. I'm taking Russ Wilson to get it right against, again, one of those vaunted defenses in Chicago that's just absolutely getting blown out the water right now. So go get Denver to get right.
All right. Next up, we have the running backs. John, who's your 3 running backs?
So I'm taking Josh Jacobs, man. Playing the LA Chargers, no good at that run defense. I'm taking Jacobs. Jacobs going to show up eventually. He's going to have one of them games. I think it's this week. I'm taking same thing, man. I'm sticking with the Miami-Buffalo game. I'm taking Mostert against Buffalo. And then I'm taking Miles Sanders at Minnesota, who's ranked 28th in run defense. Same thing. That team, that's going to be a big blow-up. If they get Bryce Young back, I like it even more. Miles Sanders is leading with like 20 opportunities a game right now. At some point, it's going to pay off. He's going to get in the end zone. He's going to run wild. I think it's week 4.
All right. Give me Christian McCaffrey against Arizona. Give me Pollard against New England, and give me Mostert against Buffalo. Like I said, I want anybody and everything to do with that Dolphins offense right now at this point in the league.
All right, so we're moving on to wide receivers for week 4. So Brady, who are your 3 wide receivers?
Of course, I got to go Justin Jefferson. I feel like he's always a lock at 1. He's playing against the Panthers. I think that's a really great matchup for him. Give me Tyreek Hill as well, Buffalo. And last but not least, give me Keenan Allen against Las Vegas Raiders. Justin Herbert has to throw to someone. Mike Williams isn't there anymore. Keenan Allen is currently the wide receiver 1 in fantasy. I think he keeps that trend going, and I think he takes Justin Herbert back to that QB1 spot in fantasy, which is another reason why I have, are we back? I think he's back.
QB1, Justin Herbert just doesn't sound right to me, man. I know I'm a hater, but golly, I just can't get on board. But my wide receivers for the week, I'm taking Stephon Diggs against Miami. Again, track meet, you want everybody involved. Same thing, Tyreek against Buffalo. Track meet, want everybody involved. And my last one is actually Devontae Adams against those Chargers, because as we all know, Chargers are going to charge at some point. Devontae Adams leading, I think, the whole NFL in targets right now, and he's absolutely killing it. So look for 2 big weeks back-to-back from Devontae Adams.
Give me your 3 tight ends, John. Who you got?
So I'm liking Hawk against Carolina. Hawkinson and Minnesota's been just lighting the world on fire a little bit too. Hopefully they can get a win this week instead of, being a little bit on the wrong side of that. I like Sam Laporta again, man, against Green Bay. Short week. Going to be kind of hard to just game plan for him when you do stuff like that. So Jared Goff doesn't have Jameson Williams back yet. I still like the option number 2 in Detroit with Sam Laporta. And then the last one, I'm taking a little bit of a sting, a little bit of a leap. I'm taking Evan Ingram against Atlanta. I think this Jacksonville team's got to get going at some point. That offense is too talented, too good. Evan Ingram's going to have one of those days in Atlanta. No Deion Jones anymore in Atlanta where you're worried about them linebackers. Mm-hmm. So I like Evan Ingram to exploit that matchup. So what's your 3 tight ends?
My 3, I'm honestly just going to go with the 3 best tight ends in football. All 3 of these guys haven't performed to the best of their abilities yet, and I believe this is the week where they actually start that. First, I got Travis Kelce against the New York Jets. Come on now. He's on top of the world right now. The whole thing going on with him and Taylor Swift. We don't know what's really going on. You leave that to that man's personal life. Second, give me Mark Andrews. I believe Mark Andrews is finally going to pick it up. Him and Lamar are going to get back that connection that they had in, 2018, his rookie year, in 2019, his second year in the season, against the Cleveland Browns. And last but not least, give me George Kittle against the Arizona Cardinals. I mean, the Cardinals got that surprise win last week over the Cowboys, but I think Kittle and CMC do the work on the Cardinals this week.
Yeah, man, it's always crazy to talk about that divisional matchups. You don't think they're that big of a deal, but every time it's always close, and you always want George Kittle in those big moments for those things. I like the George Kittle pick too. So, yeah, I mean, Brady, that's the end of our first episode on the MFFP. It has been a blast kind of breaking it down. Next week, we're looking forward to already getting into – we're going to talk about our wonderful expansion of the league and how that went down a little bit, so tune in to kind of see where that goes. And then again, we'll kind of walk back into some of these other topics going into Week 5 and recap some of that Week 4 stuff.
Yes, sir. That'll be it for the podcast for this week. I hope you guys tuned in and enjoyed it. And we'll see y'all at the next one.